100 issues. Just over 3 years after its premiere in the September 24th, 2014 issue of the Classic Halo Bulletin, Canon Fodder has reached 100 issues, and boy, what a journey it has been. Canon Fodder was a passion project from Grimm Brother 1, aka Jeff Easterling, ever since he started at 343 Industries. A lore-focused blog used to highlight obscure fiction and promote the, at the time, growing Universe Encyclopedia section of the website, among so much more. Canon Fodder's legacy goes back even further, however, to Grimm's days on halo.bungie.org or HBO, first appearing in a post promoting an episode of Podtacular. It then appeared in a series of posts on Halo Waypoint in 2013, these focusing on specific pieces of media. The first was about the short story Petra, appearing in the 2010 reprint of Halo First Strike. Though these posts never made huge splashes, as far as I remember at least, the few of us who participated in these discussions certainly had fun and even found a few new friends. And then Grimm was hired, and he brought his passion, pouring it into something more official. There's a twinge of irony in that, initially, I actually didn't like Canon Fodder. I didn't hate it, but I didn't find it too exciting. The early days of Canon Fodder were little more than recaps of the games, but the blog would quickly evolve past this. By the start of 2015, Canon Fodder would start highlighting new universe entries and expanding its content. Issue 8 was where things, for me, really picked up when we got an interview with Matt Forbeck about his then upcoming novel Halo New Blood. This post was the first time I made a video focusing on Canon Fodder in any aspect, and the following issue a week later would be the formal start of my coverage of the blog series. And once again, damn, what a journey for everyone involved. Now as the blog hits 100 issues, we get a super packed issue with tons of new lore and more, giving fans of the blog exactly what we like. The issue opens with a Deep Links entry on Sunray 1-1. This is the ODST Squad we play as in Operation Spearbreaker. We start with a look at what Sunray got up to after the events of Spearbreaker. For a quick recap, Operation Spearbreaker saw Sunray Squad, the lead element of Boomerang Company, deployed to stop a plot by the banished leader colony to use a Forerunner ship as a missile to destroy the Spirit of Fire. There's a bit more to the story, but we'll be covering that soon enough. Afterwards, Sunray would continue to deploy to some of the most hostile banished occupied sections of the Ark, taking on Warlords, Sentinels, and Forerunner Armigers. And if you aren't aware, Promethean soldiers from Halo 5 are one type of Armiger. Sunray's most recent mission has involved the elimination of banished leaders key to Atriox's attempts to harness the Ark's power. One mission was the assassination of a Jiralhanae captain, utilizing tactics gleaned from after-action reports during Operation Grey Veil. Now this is the first time this operation has been mentioned by name, but the event should be familiar to fans of Halo Legends, specifically the episode The Babysitter, in which an ODST Squad and Spartan Cal 141 were sent to Heian to assassinate a prophet and cut off the Covenant chain of supply for the region. From there, the article moves on to highlight some beautifully detailed art by Halo Wars 2 art director Jeremy Cook. And the man does not disappoint. We get a beautiful unit shot along with detailed close-ups of their equipment, which includes biofoam canisters carried by Gruss, Warrant Officer Quinn's H-165 Forward Observer Module, aka the Target Designator, which is linked to both the Spirit of Fire and Corporal Turpin's MQ-96 support drone, Lance Corporal Sparks' Sinoviet LCX-20V1 sensor module. As you can see, this piece of equipment isn't exclusive to the scanner helmet. Corporal Turpin's MC5 ID/NT TACpad, and the hardened BattleNet uplink which she uses to control her drone. The aforementioned MQ-96 support drone, nicknamed Hank, Major Vaughn's set of spare chem lights, and a pair of dog tags he keeps strapped to his armor. His fellow ODSTs know not to ask about them. And tons of other details such as weapon charms, kill counts on a sniper rifle, etc. Long story short, a shit ton of detail that gives the members of Sunray Squad a ton of personality, more than we see or realistically could see in the 2-level campaign they debut in. The Canon Fodder article has individual images if anyone's interested, and as always, it's linked in the description below. Up next, we get something I've been wanting for a long time, a focus on a Warzone boss. Say what you will about the mode itself, the bosses that appear are something I personally find extremely interesting and want to know more about. Hopefully what we're getting today can be just the start. And today we focus on Mvan Saraum, known to most fans as Baron Saraum. Mvan is a storied Covenant pilot known for his legendary skill. Piloting a Banshee christened Saban Amansir, or Red Fang, Umvan felled numerous civilian and military targets with his pinpoint plasma fire. Though his name would remain unknown to the UNSC during the war, his distinct Banshee was well known, and intelligence analysts took particular interest in where the Baron, as he came to be known, would strike. Umvan largely disappeared following the Great Schism, but stories of his distinct combat harness and Banshee continue to pop up in the years after. I personally love the combat harness Umvan sports, and I hope we get to learn more about it and him sometime in the future. After that, we get a look at the Tarask Heavy Fighter, a Covenant heavy strike craft often used by conversion and compliance fleets, delivering the message of the Great Journey through superior firepower. Though less ubiquitous in the post-war era, it is still the standard by which other aircraft are measured, and Sangheili flight harnesses are often produced with the necessary interface jacks and cyberlink translators to synchronize with these craft. After that, we get an interesting choice, a look at the Turbogen Spade, a vehicle fans grew fairly familiar with during Halo Reach, whether they knew it or not. The Spade is a vehicle often used on the rugged terrain of colonial worlds. Interestingly though, they share parts and handling characteristics with the UNSC Warthog, meaning new recruits are often more familiar with the ubiquitous vehicle when starting boot camp than they might expect. Moving on from there, we get what is certainly one of the major highlights of this issue, the full cover art of Halo Bad Blood, a follow-up to New Blood written by Matt Forbeck. The cover is interesting, showing Buck in Mjolnir Helljumper armor, leading a squad of similarly equipped Spartans. There's a ton to talk about with this cover, but we'll start with Buck's armor, since it may have the largest implications. On Buck's shoulder, we can see the Osiris insignia, which would seem to indicate that Buck is already a part of Osiris at this point. Grim Brother 1, at the very least, confirmed that the insignia's presence is not a mistake by the artist or something when asked on Twitter. From what we know, Spartan Locke and Tanaka were founding members of Osiris. Because Tanaka is known to have been part of Operation Athena on September 17th and 18th in 2558, this means that Osiris was formed no earlier than late September right after that mission, or about a month before the events of Halo 5. Buck would have then joined sometime after. Halo 5 itself would seem to imply that Osiris' first mission as a fully formed fire team was the mission to Kamchatka. So, if my speculation here is true, this would mean that Bad Blood could be the very first book set after Halo 5's story. Of course, we don't know exactly when Buck joined Osiris, so perhaps this story takes place sometime after its formation, but before Halo 5. We'll see. Moving on, I want to talk about the colors of the planet the Spartans are on: blue and red. This is particularly interesting because in Halo Broken Circle, a planet called the Planet of Blue and Red is brought up. In the book, the planet was a world once inhabited by the Forerunners and later the Sangheili. It would also serve as a location of strategic importance during the War of Beginnings, one that Usa Zealous, one of the main characters in Broken Circle, defended during the war. So I can't help but wonder if this is indeed the Planet of Blue and Red, and if perhaps there might be some tie-ins with Broken Circle. Maybe some of the Usan Sangheili have moved there. Why, I couldn't say, but perhaps to either avoid Cortana's gaze or the post-war politics on Sanghelios. In the background we see a shape that looks like it could be a Halo ring. Interestingly though, the shield world that Usa Zealous fled to following the War of Beginnings, the place his descendants would inhabit, had a defensive mechanism in which the planet would look like it exploded. In truth, it merely broke apart into several inhabitable components. Eventually, when the colony was rediscovered in 2553, the components came together, connecting and forming a large ring, an unbroken circle. Not a halo, mind you, but a ring-shaped installation. So perhaps the shape in the background here is that ring-shaped station, rather than a halo ring. It's impossible to say as we don't yet have a description, but I can't wait to find out. Moving on from there, we get a series of community questions. First up, Derpy117 asks for the class of carrier for the UNSC Atlas, which Grimm notes to be a variation of the Epoch class heavy carrier. The Atlas was the ship that carried the Spartan IIs following their augmentation and served as the location for their rehabilitation. Next, the Trexpert, excellent name by the way, asks if the hull numbers on UNSC ships are consecutive. For example, the Aegis Fate is FFG 307, with Forward Unto Dawn being FFG 201. Logically, that would mean Aegis Fate is the newer ship. Grimm explains that generally the numbers are designated consecutively, but they can be skipped for various reasons, such as a planned ship never being made, or older numbers can be recycled to quote-unquote inherit the identity of a storied vessel. The third question, coming from Sins of the Prophet's very own Unicraken, asks for the dimensions of the UNSC Cradle. The cradle was a repair station featured in Halo The Fall of Reach, one that longtime fans have been dying to know more about. Particularly, the SOTP crew have been dying to know about the cradle's size for their mod. Grim provides with 1800 meters by 600 meters. I can imagine how ecstatic the SOTP team was when this was revealed. Finally, JP asks about the canon color of the Arbiter's armor in Halo 3. As most surely know, though the Arbiter's armor is clearly silver in Halo 2, in Halo 3 it takes on more of a golden sheen. As Grim details and has actually been revealed before, the lighting engine in Halo 3 often gave it a more goldish look, though canonically his armor is meant to be silver. Funny enough, comparing the cinematics from the Xbox 360 version of Halo 3 to its counterpart in MCC, you can see, at least I think, a more silver look to the MCC version, since it was given some lighting upgrades. Of course, back during the days of Halo 3, it didn't help that the official figures for the Arbiter had him with golden armor, so yeah. Anyway, from there, we move on to a brief interview with Ken Peters, franchise writer, and Nick Artizone, narrative director. Grim asks various questions about their favorite aspects of the lore, the universe, projects, etc. It's fun if you want to get into the heads of a couple of 343's writers, so check it out. After that, we get a bunch of community quotes about Canon Fodder and Halo. We get stuff from Hidden Xperia, the Halo Archive, Haruspice, Forward Unto Dawn, Covenant Canon, Halopedia, Halo Nation, Podcast Evolved, and Sins of the Prophets, all expressing congrats to 100 issues, and briefly talking about what they love about the Halo universe. It's a beautiful outpouring of love from individuals and communities, so please, give it a read if you haven't already. The issue then comes to a close with a final thank you to fans and some other 343 folks who supported Grim's endeavor. And as this video comes to an end, let me again congratulate Grim on 100 issues of Canon Fodder. This passion project was years in the making, and it has been beautiful to see it come together over these last few years. Here's to 100 more, and I can't wait to see what you bring to the table next. Thank you all for watching, I hope you enjoyed this, and until next time, this has been Halo Canon. Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you liked this video, please consider giving it a thumbs up, subscribing, and sharing it around. You are the reason I get to keep doing this, so thank you, profusely thank you.